I tripled my video runtime from 3 to 9 minutes. Why? The goal was to have my videos be similar in length as other videos in the niche. This is because I believe that the YouTube algorithm cares about this, and it turns out that no, the algorithm does not care about this. I expected that if I look at the traffic sources of my videos, I would see videos from the same niche, but actually, what I saw was basically just random stuff. I thought that if I make my video look like the same videos from the same niche, I would get more impressions and therefore more views. In hindsight, this seems like a magical thinking. I thought that maybe YouTube does some of their own classifying, like just walk through this video. But this is not the case. This leads me to the conclusion that runtime does not matter, at least not when you start making videos. I think this is because the algorithm just doesn't have enough signal to decide what your video is. Is it good? Is it bad? Who knows? It's just not able to tell who is clicking on your videos because nobody is. So, what am I doing next? Well, if the algorithm needs more signal, then I reckon I should focus on providing that. Better videos, more views. Clearly, I'm suffering from some kind of delusion about the YouTube algorithm. So, anyway, how does this look in concrete steps? I imagine the pipeline is simple. You get more impressions, and you therefore get more clicks. And it doesn't matter what the niche is. So, you just have to make a video that almost anyone is willing to click on, or at least decent chunk of people. It has to be popular, at least with some people. Like, I'm not interested in Mr. Beast videos, but I know every time I see a thumbnail with his face, I know what it is. And I've never seen a Mr. Beast video, and I would be lying if I said that the thumbnails and titles are not at least a little compelling. For example, can a 50,000 magnets catch a cannonball? Sounds like something from Mythbusters, to be honest. And the thumbnail tells a clear story. I'm curious, would I like it? Probably not. Anyway, in experiment 1, I was measuring runtime as my input variable and impressions as my output variable. Experiment 2, sounds like I should put in more effort when it comes to titles and thumbnails. For example, how many titles and thumbnails can I come up with for one video? And then compare it to impressions again. So that might work. And now for the dedicated. How am I doing this project? I am organizing the experiment in a little tool that I'm making. Think of it like a Kanban board with some fancy experiment tracking. For the data, I just used the YouTube dashboard plus this handy little tool that's called XMRit for the charts. For the backbone of this whole experiment, I'm using experiments, and I commit to driving some independent variables to get a change on some dependent variable. Think of it, if I increase X, therefore Y will also increase. In experiment 1, it was runtime and impressions. And I also commit for a number of videos. I'm not sure what the right number should be. 1 is definitely too little. 10 feels like too much. Here I committed to 6, but I actually ended up doing just 4. So you might ask, why am I doing such a heavy-handed, complex approach? And the key thing here I would say is not to get bored. And the longer I stay engaged, the higher the chance of success. There is a nice article by Justin Yu called Befriending the Goon Squad. The idea is that some projects are bound to succeed if the owner doesn't get bored. And one such project, a potential one, is a YouTube channel. I will link the article. I find it highly inspiring, actually. If you want to know what it is that I struggled with, here it is. I was getting distracted by all the other improvements I could be doing. So initially my scripts were around 3 minutes long, and tripling my script just seemed impossible. Therefore, for 2 videos, I fed my short scripts to Claude in order to get something longer, But then I got distracted by trying to expand the third short script on my own. So I tried to go back to Claude just to keep things consistent. But I couldn't help myself. I prompted Claude differently. And then I made another mistake, which is I went on Reddit and I looked up what the common blunders for YouTubers are. Wrong thumbnails, stuff like that. And at that point, I was really struggling to keep the consistency on my fourth video. The second struggle is that I don't know what should I be doing with runtime. Having 40 minutes of content just to get 4 views, that seems wrong. Lots of wasted effort. But staying on 3 minutes looks incorrect as well. When I make these videos, I use that little time to read the post and summarize the comments. What this means for the script is that it is very on point and it's not very well suited for listening. So simply by adjusting it for better listen, the runtime should increase, I hope. So the real problem that I have is living with imperfection. Something is not quite right, but is also not worth dealing with right now. And it just is, and I have to accept it and focus my energy elsewhere. I do appreciate that I can handle this discomfort better when I'm making YouTube videos than when I'm coding, for example. If I were coding and felt some kind of discomfort about my app, I would really struggle not to do a refactor. So I'm grateful for that. So that's it. Stay tuned for the update on experiment number 2.